If you've ever had someone walk into your life and instantly disturb your sense of balance, you'll understand what happened that Tuesday morning. I was sitting in Harrison and Company, design agency's glass-walled conference room, finalizing slides for an important pitch. My coffee had gone cold, the projector bulb was flickering, and the air smelled faintly of printer toner. That's when the door opened and Ethan Cole walked in. Tall, sharp suit, a confidence that filled the room without being loud. He was introduced as the new creative consultant, brought in for a big upcoming campaign. He smiled politely at the team, and then his eyes landed on me. It wasn't a long stare, just a moment. But it felt like he'd looked right past the professional armor I wore every day and seen something underneath. I hated that. From the start, Ethan and I clashed. He was the kind of person who asked questions that disrupted carefully laid plans. "We could push the campaign further," he said during our first project meeting. "Take more risks." I kept my tone even. "Our clients don't like surprises." He smiled, a little too knowingly. Or maybe they just haven't been offered the right ones. The rest of the team seemed charmed by him, but I found his confidence irritating. It wasn't that he was wrong, exactly. It was that he challenged me, and I wasn't used to being challenged like that. It wasn't just his ideas. It was the way he noticed things. When I stayed late one night, trying to rework a client proposal after they'd changed their brief, Ethan appeared at my desk. "You missed lunch today," he said, placing a takeout bag beside my keyboard. I opened it to find my favorite sandwich from the deli 2 blocks away. "How did you?" "You mentioned it once," he said with a shrug. I told myself he was just trying to be friendly. But the truth was, I thought about that small act of kindness for days. And that bothered me even more. The campaign we were working on, for a sustainable clothing brand, hit a snag when our lead model canceled last minute. The shoot was in 48 hours, and rescheduling wasn't an option. Ethan suggested we use real people instead of models. "Let's photograph the people who actually make the clothes," he said. "Tell their stories." It was risky. It meant throwing out weeks of planning. But something in his conviction made me agree. The shoot was chaotic. Factory workers nervously posing, lighting being adjusted on the fly, but the results were stunning. When we presented them, the client loved it. After the meeting, I found myself looking at Ethan differently. He wasn't just confident, he cared about authenticity. We started talking more, not just about work, but about books, favorite travel spots, even childhood stories. I learned he'd grown up in a small coastal town in Maine, worked his way through school, and built his career piece by piece. He listened when I spoke. Really listened. And that was rare. Of course, just when I thought things were shifting, we hit a wall. Ethan pitched an idea directly to the client without running it by me first. It wasn't malicious. He thought it was a small addition to the campaign, but it made me look like I was out of the loop. We argued after the meeting. "You can't just go around me like that," I said, trying to keep my voice low. "I wasn't trying to undermine you," he replied. "I thought." "That's the problem, Ethan. You thought, but you didn't ask." We didn't speak for 2 days. On the 3rd day, he showed up at my desk with 2 coffees. "I crossed a line," he said simply. "I should have talked to you first. You lead this team, and I respect that." It wasn't a grand gesture, but it was sincere. I accepted the coffee, and the tension between us eased. Our final presentation for the sustainable clothing brand was scheduled for a Friday morning in New York City. We traveled together by train, reviewing slides and talking through last-minute details. When the client applauded at the end, I felt a rush of pride, not just in my work, but in how far we'd come as a team. As we packed up, Ethan leaned over and said quietly, "Couldn't have done this without you." For once, I didn't deflect the compliment. "Same here," I replied. Back in Boston, we grabbed dinner to celebrate. It wasn't a date, at least, that's what I told myself. But it felt different from our usual lunches. We talked until the restaurant started stacking chairs on tables. Outside, under the glow of the streetlights, Ethan said, "You know, when I first met you, I thought you didn't like me." "I didn't," I admitted with a laugh. "You got under my skin." "Still do?" he asked, half smiling. I hesitated, then smiled back. "Maybe. But it's not such a bad thing." From then on, Things between us were different. Still professional, but warmer. There was mutual respect, a shared trust built through trial and error. He still had a way of pushing my buttons, but I'd learned that sometimes, that push was exactly what I needed. And I think he knew that too. Looking back, I realized that first look wasn't about instant attraction. It was about recognition. Him seeing that I wasn't just another colleague, and me realizing, eventually, that he wasn't just another consultant. Sometimes the people who get under your skin are the ones who help you grow the most. And when that happens, you stop fighting it and start wondering how you ever worked without them.